Good evening, everybody! Welcome to round 13 of our 1986 F1 series, coming to you from Monza in Italy. I am Jason White. I will be your play-by-play announcer for this race, round number 13. The drivers have finished their qualifying session. We will run down the top 10 for you in a moment. Joining me in the booth this evening is Ryan Walker. Ryan, good evening.
Yeah, evening Jason, evening everyone. It's good to be back.
And right off the top, I want to say congratulations to you, Ryan, for your form in the SGPR GT3 Sprint Series. With one race to go, you're second in the point standings in that series. Good job.
Thank you. He's still in contention slightly for the championship, but yeah, it'll be tough to try and win it, since I'm kind of out of it, but still in it at the same time. So yeah, we'll see how it goes at Silverstone next week, and fingers crossed.
Are you mathematically still eligible to win the championship?
I think I would need to score probably, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, about probably need to score about 30 or 40 points more than the championship leader. But yeah, I'm still slightly mathematically in it, so yeah, we'll give it a go and just see how it goes.
Well, crazier things have happened, so we'll see how it goes, but we wish you good luck with that. Now, as I mentioned, let's run down the top 10 qualifiers for you as time expired. And this being a speed circuit, no real surprise that the BMW cars are at the top. Tim Hilla took the pole position with a time of 1 minute 25.024. In second, Grant Ridall, and he's only a little over a tenth of a second back. Third, Anders Nilsson. Fourth, Richard Coxon. Fifth, David Saber. Sixth, Jules Bouchard. Seventh, Ray Ridall. Eighth, Gabriel Del Piccolo. Ninth, Francisco Amaral. And 10th, Juha Boss. Those are your top 10 to start this round 13 out of 16 in our 1986 F1 Championship. So here we are with 4 races to go, and if we take a look at the Drivers' Championship, it's still mathematically in play, but it will take a sustained, strong effort from somebody to catch the championship leader, Jules Bouchard, who's currently leading by 24 points. Indeed, if Jules can finish second or better in this race and none of his closest rivals score points, he could wrap up the championship today. That's not the most likely of scenarios, but it is possible. Ryan and I will be keeping track of the mathematics during the race so that you have a clear picture of where Bouchard is versus his pursuers in the championship standings. But you can see it right there for yourself. Jules Bouchard leads the championship with 58 points to Juha Boss's 34. David Saber is in third with 31 points. Jonathan Asserclanth is in fourth with 29, and then you got Ray Ridall in fifth with 28. So essentially, it's a big race for second place, but that big 24-second gap to Jules Bouchard is going to be tough to overcome. Do you think anybody has a shot at doing that, Ryan?
It's tough to say. I mean, like you said, Jules just needs to finish second and hope that his nearest rivals have issues. But I don't know. I think if you're Jules, you just want to try and finish second, or if you can, try and take the win tonight. To maybe, if you're taking the win, just try and increase that cushion and increase that gap, and it means be headed into the end of the season. You don't have to worry about being caught in the championship. But with the reliability, and also from what we've seen in the season so far, during the season we've seen several of the big contenders have issues with stuff like blown engines, so reliability could be the name of the game.
It could very well be. The car situation, the Constructors' Championship, is a much more open affair. John Player's special team Lotus leads Scuderia Ferrari by only 2 points, 65 to 63. Then you have Marlboro McLaren with 59 points, Equipe Ligier with 32, and Motor Racing Developments in fifth with 23. So that's far more open. We'll have to watch and see what happens there. Today's circuit, it's a circuit that needs no introduction, but I'll give it a shot anyway. next to Monaco, this is likely the most prestigious event on the series calendar. One of the most legendary venues in the history of motorsports. Monza has been in business since 1922. At one time, it also incorporated a high-banked oval section. But even without that portion and with all the chicanes that they put in over the years and modified and everything, this is still considered a temple of speed. Our competitors will be traversing this 5.8 kilometer course for 51 laps, or just under 296 kilometers. Obviously, Ryan, raw horsepower is going to be the key here today. We expect everybody to make at least one pit stop, although some people in past races have tried to make it on no pit stops. I don't know that's going to happen here. And we're probably going to finish well under the 2-hour mark with a race like this, similar to Hockenheim, in that it's really, really high speed all the time, so the laps just fly by. But what do you think are going to be the keys in this race? You mentioned reliability, which I think is absolutely key. We got BMW starting up front, but the question of whether they can make it to the end, I think that's still up in the air.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think reliability is definitely one of the things like you were saying. I think the fuel as well could be another factor, because it's not like say tight trusty tracks or stop go tracks, if you like. You're on a straight most of the time, which means that you're using more fuel, and the fuel consumption could be higher as well. And I think some of the drivers as well that like to use a bit of boost might need to be careful as well, because more boost uses up more fuel. So the likes of Grant Vidal, who's a bit of I don't like to side harsh towards Grant, but he's a bit of a boost user, so he might need to be a little bit careful with that boost button.
I don't think that's the worst thing you can say about a driver, is that they like boost. I mean, every driver wants to go fast. That's not necessarily a backhanded compliment, but in any case, I think you're right. In terms of the cars, as we go on the track now to have a look at what's going on, everybody's in their warm-up period here. In terms of cars that I think are going to do well here, at least in terms of speed, the Brabhams probably are the ones to watch in terms of the design of the car and in terms of how the cars are set up. And the funny thing is, you mentioned the reliability. It's always been a question mark with the Brabhams, and in the championship table, it's a case of just too little too late for Grant Ridal and Gabriel Del Piccolo, unfortunately. They both have had flashes of brilliance in this series, but it's just not enough to get them into a championship position. They could, though, potentially play the role of spoiler today. We'll see what happens there. In other news, actually now here, I was looking for them, and I finally found them. In other news regarding the Ferrari team, of course, this is their home race, and it's a big deal because the Tifosi are here. The Ferrari race engine power has been increased from 925 horsepower to 942, and that should help them keep pace with the front runners, but they didn't have the greatest of qualifying sessions, so we'll see what the race pace will be like for them. Also, another driver I would keep an eye on is David Saber, because I think his McLaren is very well suited to this track in terms of its well-balanced handling, and he's currently third in points, and he'll be keen to finish the race strong. He has this very measured approach that he's had all year. He opened the year with a win at the Brazilian Grand Prix, and his driving is very absent of drama and like needless histrionics, and I think that's a big chunk of the reason for his success overall. Going into this race, yeah, any compound can do the full race distance, as Coxon says. We're expecting one pit stop, and there are various cars that have some updates. We mentioned Ferrari's horsepower update at race level. We'll mention others as we go along. One thing that we would like to bring up for everybody, and there's a link in the chat right now in YouTube. One of our friends and well-known competitors, Mike Olson, has run into a bit of financial difficulty at the moment with regard to his rent. It's serious enough of a situation that members of ISO have taken it upon themselves to start a GoFundMe effort for Mike and his father to try to get them the money they need to support themselves as far as a place to live. And if you would like to take part in that effort, the link is in the chat right now under the ISO admin input. So several of us have already contributed, That's not to say that we're going, look at us, how great we are. We're just saying, that it is actually gaining traction, and I know that Mike and his father would greatly appreciate anything you can give. It adds up quickly, and just wanted you all to know that link is there, and if you want to contribute, you are heartily encouraged to do so if you have the ability to. So that's in the chat for those of you who are interested in contributing and helping Mike and his father. So, predictions for this race. We got BMWs up front. We mentioned the reliability situation. One thing we haven't mentioned, Ryan, and maybe you can talk about this a bit, are these dreaded tire stacks, which are designed to keep people from taking advantage on a chicane, but they can also end a race very easily if you're not precise.
Yeah, the tire stacks is. I was going to bring that up, but it's the thing that these drivers are going to have to watch, because if they try and cut the corner too much, or maybe run wide, or maybe if they're in a battle with someone into the chicanes, especially, they could possibly end a race and give them big damage. So it's definitely, I think these drivers will be aware of them, and they, especially at the start of the race into the chicanes as well, the drivers are going to have to be very, very careful if they get stacked up.
Yeah, it's especially going to be dicey on the start, because you have a bunch of people funneling down into that double chicane at the end of the main straight. It's a miracle to me when people get through there with no issues whatsoever. But there comes that point, and I know that Ryan has experienced this as well as myself, and probably most people watching and those on the track, where you've braked too late, you're going to turn in, and you're not sure you can make the turn and not hit a barrier. And you have to make a split-second decision. Do I go this way, or do I go that way? Do I miss the chicane and just take the lump, or do I chance the fact that I can make it? And it's a split-second decision that you have to make, and it's really tough.
Yeah, it's one of those. I've had that experience as well, where at Monza, not on the old version that was used in the 80s, but the more modern version with the redesigned turn 1 chicane. I've had that as well. It's one of those things, when you brake too late, do I risk trying to turn into the corner and risk spinning or getting sideways, or do I just let the car go straight on, and you might lose time, but it means you stay in the race. It's one of those split-second decisions that you have to make.
Especially when it's a Formula One car. I mean, in this case, you've got your wheels exposed. If it's a sports car race, like we ran a sports car race, 84 WEC, a few weeks back, and in that one, if you hit a tire barrier, at least you probably are only going to lose a front or rear clip. And then you can come back to the pits and get it fixed and keep going. But in this case, you could lose a wheel easily, and that's the end of your race. Before we get to the start here, we got about 30 seconds to go. Let's remind everybody what's coming up. The next broadcast for this series will be on October 15th. It's the 5th Grand Prix of Portugal, and it does feature, as you see in the picture there, the yellow and white Marlboro livery, which only made one appearance in 1986 in the hands of K.K. Rosberg. And that race will be 14th out of 16. October 15th race should start at 2000 CEST. Will be on the air a little bit before then. Trivia question for you to ponder. In the 1937 Italian Grand Prix, where was this event held? What track? Was it A, Circuito de Montenero? Was it B, Autodromo Nazionale di Monza? Or was it C, Portello, Milan? We'll have the answer later on in the broadcast. All right, so these drivers, I mean, getting to start here obviously is critical. Getting away quickly is always important. But when you get down to that chicane, Ryan, and you have to funnel down, it could be really, really, I would expect to see at least one or two cars go for an escape road or go around the other way to avoid contact with somebody. But we'll see what happens here. We'll run through the grid for you too, as we have a 26-car grid here. Good. So a full grid for this Italian Grand Prix, which is 51 laps, probably going to go by pretty fast. But if you're heading for that turn, Ryan, That double chicane there. What's the best thing to do in traffic there? I mean, in your experience, to avoid ending your race so early after 2 weeks of preparation.
I think it depends where you are in the grid. If you're in the midfield or towards the back of the field, I think, and you feel you're going to run into the back of someone or just outbreak yourself, I think, yeah, it's probably worth running wide onto the grass and just taking an escape route. And again, it's one of those things, you might risk losing a few places or some time as well, but it's better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't want to throw away your whole race on one turn right at the very start. It's just not something you want to do. All right, so the cars are lining up now for the sighting or reconnaissance lap. We'll go through the grid for you here as soon as they start rolling away. And there they go. Okay, so on the pole is Tim Hille for Benetton Formula. In second, this should be an interesting start because we got 3 BMW cars at the front here. Grant Riddall for Motor Racing Development starts second. Third is Anders Nilsson in the other Benetton. Fourth, Richard Coxon, Cannon Williams Honda team, who's had good form lately in this car since he moved over from the Benetton team. Fifth is David Saber, Marlboro McLaren International. Sixth is the championship leader, Jules Bouchard. Seventh is Ray Riddall, Marlboro McLaren International. Eighth is Gabriel Del Piccolo for Motor Racing Developments. Ninth is Francisco Amaral in the Cannon Williams Honda team entry number 6. 10th is Juha Boss Scuderia Ferrari, so it's not the greatest of qualifying sessions for Ferrari. 11th, John Team for Equipe Ligier. 12th, Johnny Aces driving the second Ferrari number 28. 13th, Giovanni Centorami, who's had some scintillating drives for Tyrrell over the last couple races. We'll be watching him to see if he moves up. 14th, Bruno Paggiola, driving for West Zaxpeed Racing. 15th, Alan Santo, Team Haas USA. 16th, Mark Whitman, Team Haas USA. 17th, Gilles Toe in the other West Zaxpeed car. 18th, Moises Pereira, driving for the Minardi team. 19th, Matt Sibignani, Data General Team Tyrrell. 20th, Fernando Portiero, Barclay Arrows BMW. 21st, Bruno Chacon, Barclay Arrows BMW. 22nd, K.O. McKeels, driving for the Minardi team. 23rd, David Wattman, making an appearance with Jolly Club AGS. 24th, Oscar team for Equipe Ligier. 25th, Luciano Rocha in the other Lotus. That's incredibly surprising to have him that far down on the list. Maybe he just arrived to qualifying late. And rounding out the field is another Wattman, Simon, in this case, Osella Squadra Course, the lone Osella in the field. So that's your grid of 26 cars as they make their way down what is called the back straightaway here at Monza, and they will head through Curva Parabolica, and then they'll be on the grid. Many drivers weaving back and forth there, Ryan, to get their tires warmed up. Be interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely, because Monza, you're sitting on the grid. You might think it's you might not sit in the grid for long, but with it being such a Monza being the kind of a long track as well, but also the back of the grid, they still having to catch up. You want to try and get as much temperature into the tyres, and they just try do anything to get some heat into them. But as they come up to the grid now, I think it's one of those moments in the race before you start that, from my experience, you start not tension up, I would say, but you kind of start getting those little butterflies in the stomach.
Well, here you see Tim Hille has slowed the field right down. He wants to stay stationary for as little time as possible because, and especially with these BMW engines with their propensity for blowing up, he wants to be on the grid for as little time as possible so that the engine doesn't sit there without air going through the radiators and the heat building. So the cars are now getting set up on the grid. Tim Hille on the right in pole position. On the left is Grant Riddall in second place. Behind Tim Hille in third is Anders Nilsson, and fourth, Richard Coxon. I'd keep an eye out for Coxon because he might spring a surprise. But this is going to be a very, very combustible start, I think. Everybody hold on to your hats because it's going to be a fast race, but we hopefully that people will not get into accidents at the first corner. We'll see what happens, though. Watching for the start of the race. Here comes starter's orders. Stand by for the start of the Italian Grand Prix. And the race is underway. Good getaway by Tim Hilla as they're heading down the straightaway. You see Grant Riddall slot in right behind him. Looks like that Anders got away good too, but look at Coxon. He's coming up to third place as they head into the chicane for the first time. Hopefully everybody will get through here with no problem. A little bit of smoke here and there, maybe a little bit of contact. Oh my goodness, it looks like there's some trouble there for Luciano Rocha at the back of the field, but mercifully, it looks like everybody got through okay. Tim Hilla is in the lead, and you see back there that Richard Coxon is slotted into third place behind Grant Riddall. I thought he would be fast on the start, and sure enough, he was. Coming up now to the Lesmo curves, Tim Hilla in the lead. Got an excellent start. Grant Riddall is in second. Richard Coxon is in third, and it appears that the other Benetton is in fourth place of Anders Nilsson. Yes, and now they're coming down to one of many chicanes where you just have to be absolutely precise in how you come through here. This is one of the more forgiving chicanes. But as they come out of here, they run up on the curb there. But there you can see them in front of you. Coming down now for the first time to the Parabolica. It's very tempting to overcook it here, isn't it, Ryan?
Yeah, it's so easy to overcook it here because you're just basically you're going so quick, and then when you try and downshift, you downshift, you're turning at the same time as well. So it's easy to overcook it and get sideways on corner entry. But as they come across the line, it's been a clean start, and it looks like Riddell's about to make a move in, heading down to the first chicane.
And he takes the lead with space to spare. Grant Riddall is your new leader as they head into the chicane for a second time. Now we're looking at this double chicane here. It is actually two chicanes as they come through here. And it appears as if everybody is doing okay. A really mature start from everybody, I have to say. Really, really well done by all 26 drivers. The only problem that seemed to crop up was with Luciano Rocha, but he had it pretty well sorted after that. Not too much trouble. And look at Hilla. He's still coming back, fighting with Grant. He wants that lead back. He's on the inside going into Lesmo 1. Doesn't get it done. Wisely gets in behind Grant. They're kicking up some dust there as they go through Lesmo number 2. But I'd say a very, very good start from everybody. Sorry. There we go.
And it looks like Richard Cox is making a move as well into second place, and he takes that second place from Tim Hill. So I wonder if Hill's maybe deciding that it's not worth getting into a scrap at this stage of the race, with it being 51 laps, and Monza being one of probably the hungriest tracks when it comes to fuel.
Here's the replay of Coxon going through to take second place, just ahead of the chicane. Very well executed. And here they are coming out of the Parabolica once again. Grant in the lead. Now we have Coxon in second place, and the Benettons holding station behind them. So you wonder, is Coxon going to go for the lead here in a few minutes? Oh my goodness, it looks like Francisco Amaral having a very loose moment back in the Parabolica. But here's everybody coming through the initial chicane. Coxon is right there with Grant. It looks like he's got a speed advantage. Hilla and Anders Nilsson behind him, and then you have Ray Riddall looking quite good in the in the second of the two McLarens, heading into the first of the Lesmo curves now. And actually, Coxon now has to worry a little bit more, I think, about the Benettons behind him, because they're getting quite close now.
Yeah, absolutely. And Anders Nielsen's just in the background there, catching up to this battle for first, second, third, first, second, third place. And yeah, it's a fantastic races so far. And Grant Riddell, I think his move to take the lead was a bit of it was boost assisted, but I think he just watched the body line, which is Richard Cox, and it looks like he's not in the mood for hanging around.
No, he is definitely not. He's definitely interested in getting that lead if he can. Looking forward now, you can see how close he is to Grant Riddall as they come out of the Parabolica. Now heading down towards... Oh, he's definitely got a roll in him now. I wonder how much boost Grant's going to use. You mentioned before he likes to use the boost. This is an occasion where he definitely probably would. Yeah, he's pulling back a little bit of that space there. The gap's now 1.3 seconds as they come down to the chicane. I mean, boost definitely is going to be used for defense as much as it is for offense here. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what Grant Vidal's probably doing at the moment, is using a little slight bit of boost to keep in front of Richard Coxon. But I think Coxon's definitely, I feel anyway, just watching, he's got the pace advantage at the moment.
Yeah, we already have our first retirement. Fernando Portiero's out of the race, unfortunately. So we're down to 25 cars now. Coxon now definitely running with Grant, and the two Benettons have slipped back. So we'll see if Coxon can get him on the next long straight, which will be the one that takes you... Well, he might have him here if he gets the car placed right and turns up the boost, but I think he's going to wait until the Parabolica in this case. As I mentioned before, Coxon's been in excellent form in this car. I think he won 2 races, didn't he? Driving for Frank Williams. He previously was driving... Ooh, one of the Benettons goes over the curb there, but no harm done. Oh, we can see there, too, one of the Ferraris is getting close. I can't see from this vantage point whether it's Johnny Aces or Yuha, but it looks like Ferrari are doing better on the start here. It's Yuha.
Sorry,
there's Coxon. Yep.
Jason, Coxon's got the run.
Here he does. He has the run. Now it's a question of, I think right there, Grant turned up the boost to defend. So Coxon definitely has the juice to get by. It's just a question of how much of it does he want to use so early. Into the chicane once again. And notice, too, that Ray Rodal is closing in on the back of Anders Nilsson here, so he's not dropping back too far. And then peeking into the shot is the first of the Ferraris. So Yuha has been moving up the grid. I think he started in 10th, so he's picked up 4 places, which is a good start. I'm sure the Tifosi are happy about that. Coxon now being hounded by a little bit by Tim Hilla. I think he'd really love to just get in front of Grant and drive away, but at the same time, he probably knows that Grant will just turn up the boost and go right by again. Looking back here slightly, there's a nice battle here going on between Ray Rodal and Anders Nilsson as the leaders head into the chicane before the back straightaway here. But Nilsson seems to be holding his own without too much trouble. That's the scary part right there, coming off that chicane, Ryan, where if you're not careful, you can run clear off the road.
Yeah, absolutely, and you've got to be scared on the exit there, because if you run too wide on that curb and even clip the gravel, it can, from the practice I was doing during the week, it can clip that gravel and it can spin you around or even spit you into the wall.
Yes, indeed. Something you want to watch. Now look at this. Here comes Ray. It looks like he's got a bit of a roll on Anders. Looks like he might be ready to make an attempt here. No, he's not going to try it here. But he definitely has that car running in good race trim. Interesting to see the Benettons holding station here. Maybe there's a bit of a tactical game going on here. Maybe they're trying to save the car for later, knowing its propensity for engine failures. Coxon staying right with Grant as they come through the first or the second chicane. Now they're going through the Lesmos, and Richard is right there, tucked under Grant's rear wing. He knows he's there. He knows he's got to be careful. You don't want to make any mistakes. This track is actually... Oh, look at this. Here comes Coxon on the outside. He's got placement. Can he match the speed, the velocity of Grant Rodal as they head down into the chicane? The answer is no. Grant has got the inside line, and really that wasn't the best place in the world for Coxon to try to overtake because he was just not in the right spot. But Coxon is definitely pushing it. You can see him hop over the curb there. But... yeah, Coxon is definitely itching to get by Grant area, and he probably knows over the course of several races that have been run, Ryan, that, you know, if you do pressure Grant, sometimes mistakes can occur.
Yep, absolutely. Grant Rodal, as quick as he is, he can be prone to mistakes, and Coxon's definitely got the run across the line, and there
he goes.
He's going for the run. Oh, that was so close to contact, and Richard Coxon decides to back out of it, which was a sensible move, I think.
Yeah, very, very smart move. That was not going to work. It could have possibly taken both of them out of the race if he had tried something, but it looked as if there was some defensive boost being done there. But now Coxon's right there with him again as they look towards the second chicane up here under the bridge. And no, there's not going to be placement this time, but Coxon is definitely getting impatient. He wants to get by Grant and take the lead because I think it's pretty fair to say that Grant's probably holding him up right now.
Yeah, I think Grant's done a good defensive job. There's no doubt about it. But I think if I'm Coxon, I'll probably start to get frustrated. But as I say that, it looks like Coxon's got the run down to the Ascari chicane.
This may be the decisive moment. This time he's got placement on the inside. He's done it. Coxon goes into the lead. Coxon is our third different leader in the Italian Grand Prix in just 7 laps. Very competitive race so far. Now as they head towards the Parabolica, is Grant going to counterattack? He's certainly turned up the boost. You can see him by closing right there, but it's not going to be enough by the time they get to the Parabolica. Coxon retains the lead. Now we'll see what happens on the main straight here if Grant's going to try to get back up close to him, but it already looks like Richard's asserting himself and the superiority of the Williams. Grant's not letting it go, though. He pops out. Look at that.
That's like side by side into the first chicane. It looked like Riddell was going to go for the move, and then he kind of hesitated and backed out of it.
Very, very close racing there, and that's risky stuff. And look at all the time that Grant has lost now on that move that didn't work. Now he's fallen backwards. He's not falling into the clutches of anybody, but now he's going to have to wait a bit to try it again. But Coxon has now got a little bit of a cushion that he can work with. As we're coming now into the Lesmo curves, I think it's fair to say that Coxon has found a steed that he likes a lot better in the Williams. He never really liked driving the Benetton, as the drivers are now lapping David Wattman in the AGS. But he certainly seems more comfortable in this car than he did previously. Now coming through, it's just unfortunate that it's too late for it to make a difference for him in the championship, right?
Yeah, and talking about the championship as well, the championship leader, Jules Bouchard, is currently down in the 8th position, and I think it's probably not where he wants to be. He probably would have wanted to be further up the field in the points, but it's maybe just not got the pace around this Monza track.
Speaking of points, let's go back and look and see where Bouchard is. Bouchard's not even in the points right now. He's 8th place, which is uncharacteristic of him. We've become so used to him dominating races and being in the points and winning and leading the championship, and here he is in 8th place. Is it possible that the Lotus is just not well situated for this track? As now Francisco Amaral goes to overtake him, so now Jules is in 9th place. What do you think's going on here, Ryan?
Yeah, it could just be this JPS Team Lotus just maybe this not suiting this Monza track. Obviously, this Monza track's maybe more suited to the cars that have got a lot more power. For example, the Brabham or the MRD car of the Grant Riddell. Riddell's got that car up in 2nd place, so it could just be this Team Lotus car just not suiting this track.
Yeah, possibly. I at times cars just aren't right for the track. I mean, this Lotus works exceptionally well on circuits where the car has to be nimble, kind of similar to the Ligier in that respect. In any case, Jules may be able to make up some time later as we see, oh my goodness, one of the Minardi's going for some agricultural driving there. Not sure what that was about, but Jules retains that 9th place for the moment. Juha Boss is 7th right now. He was in 6th before, but he is in 7th. He's the highest placed Ferrari at the moment. Johnny Aces is in 11th. Gabriel Del Piccolo is running 6th. right now behind this interesting battle between, it's not much of a battle, but it's pretty close quarters here between Ray Radal and Nilsson, although it's gone off the boil a little bit now. And there's one of these, it's the lone Ocella that has to get out of the way of these drivers. It must be really nerve-wracking to be lapped at this track, because similar to Hockenheim, and I think it's easy to forget, Ryan, this track is not all that wide. There's not a lot of room offline to make room for people. Like you see here, KO is trying to make room for everybody, and he lets them go by on the outside. Yeah, I know, it's close. But this track is definitely not one of the wider ones on the schedule.
Yeah, it's really a tight track, and the only place that you can really let the leaders through if they're being lapped is probably that run down to the final corner or the home straight.
Right.
Apart from that, there's not really anywhere There's not really anywhere for you to just move out the way.
Yeah, you can't just simply vaporize and people out of the way. Oh, we got a yellow flag down here at the Parabolica. Something has happened to somebody. It's Gilles Taux. Gilles Taux is beached the car against the barrier and has lost at least the rear wing from what we can see. And that's a very dangerous situation, and he's out of the race. He's escaped, and that was probably the right thing to do in that situation, because he let's see a replay of what happened here. Let's see if I can find him on the... Yeah, if we go back, this is an interesting situation. I wonder what precipitated this. But he was in a situation where you can't back up there because you can't see what's coming, and you risk ruining somebody else's race. So he did the right thing by staying on the wall there and not actually causing a problem. But it looks like he just spun heading into that barrier anyway. But that's too bad for Gilles Taux. But he did the right thing by standing against the barrier and not making a bad situation worse. Coxon continues to lead. He's leading right now by 4 seconds over Grant Radal, who is in second place. Then you have the two Benettons running third and fourth respectively, and then you have Ray Radal right there still thinking about possibly making a try on Nilsson. Yeah, he's just steadily following him here. He's not hounding him too much, but yeah, see here, it's pretty blind coming around this corner. If somebody's backing out onto the Parabolica, it's not a good situation, so Gilles made the right choice there. All right, here comes Ray now. He's got a bit of a roll on Anders. And is he going to attempt an overtake? I don't think he can here. He's in the wrong spot, but I think you saw just a little bit of a surge from Anders there. I almost get the impression, Ryan, that boost is going to be used more for defense and offense today. As, yep, Ray just had a bad exit there from the corner, and it allowed Del Piccolo to get by. So Del Piccolo moves up to 5th place on an error by Ray Radal. He just got out of that chicane a little too slow. And that was enough.
Yeah, going back to your point as well about the boost as well, using it as a defence. I think yeah, maybe some drivers are planning to do that at some point, but just some of the drivers throughout the field, some are using boost and some others are maybe just hanging back and not wanting to use the boost straight away. Maybe they'll try and use the boost to work maybe in the last half of this race.
I think the hard thing is maintaining your plan. Alberto Ibanez, one of our fellow commentators and racers here, he's often fond of quoting Mike Tyson when he said, everybody has a plan until they're punched in the mouth, and or something to that effect. And that's kind of the situation here. It's very hard to remember a plan that you had to conserve the car when you're in close, tight racing with somebody, and all your senses tell you to go for it. So it can be tough. things look about the same back here. Del Piccolo has ensconced himself in 5th pretty well. Ray is settled back into 6th. Boss is 7th. Amaral is 8th. 9th is Bouchard, and 10th is Sabre. Sabre's starting to close on Bouchard. And then you have the other Ferrari of Jonathan Asserclinth in 11th place. 12th is John Team, way back, actually fairly close to his teammate now, Oscar Team. Family affair here. But then you also have a pretty good battle going on between Centurami there and Alan Santo, who goes up into 14th place ahead of Centurami, making use of that turbocharged Ford engine. Luciano Rocha actually has had a pretty good race for himself in terms of where he started and where he is now. He is up 9 places, running in 16th place. Paggiola is running 17th. 18th is Sivignani. 19th, Mark Whitman. 20th, K.O. McKeels. 21st is Bruno Chacon, who's about to be lapped, actually, by a couple of cars. And 22nd is David Watman. 23rd, the last car running, I believe. Or no, it is Simon Watman, the Ocella Squadra course. That is the field as of now. Coxon continuing to circulate, and he's building a lead. The lead is now 8.2 seconds on Grant. So you think Grant is basically just said, I'm just going to let him go and see if I can get the overlap on the pit stop?
That's a possibility. I mean, yeah, Grant Medall is using quite a lot of boost earlier on, and I think maybe decided that once Coxon got by him, maybe just to try and maybe just hang back and save, look after his tyres, and just think about the fuel as well. And Cox at the moment, ever since he's got into the lead, like you say, he's managed to pull that gap or build that gap up to about 8 seconds now. So Cox and just doing his job, doing what he needs to do, and not just watching the body language as well, or the driving style. He doesn't look too ragged or looks like he's overdriving. He's just keeping it nice and smooth.
Yeah, fast equals smooth in most forms of racing, and that's what Coxon's doing. He's just keeping the car on the island, as it were, and not doing anything too crazy. He's being very, very smooth throughout. So yeah, that's probably a very, very smart plan. And my thinking is, if you're Grant at this point, you could see right there how much the gap is. It's about the same. It's 8.3 seconds, but still, that's a long ways. That's an eternity in Formula One racing. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Actually, there has been a change. We didn't see it happen, but there's been a change between Benetton drivers. Easy to miss, but Nilsson actually passed his teammate and is now running in 3rd place. So they swapped the order of the Benettons, which is interesting. And Anders is starting to pull away a bit, so maybe sometimes these guys are on Discord together. Maybe there was a plan of, let me go ahead here. Let's see what I can do. But Anders definitely is in 3rd place now, ahead of his teammate. And Del Piccolo is starting to close on Tim Hilla, which is going to be interesting. Tim Hilla was the pole sitter and is now running in 4th place. So 15 laps into this race, things have settled down to a pretty good extent. Now it's a matter of making sure you stick to your plan, what you want to do, and not deviate from it. There's a wheel missing there, so it appears that we have another... it's K.O. McKeels is out of the race. Let's see if we can see what happened to K.O. It appears that he had an accident at one of the chicanes, but I'm going to run back and have a look here, see if I can find it.
Yeah, it looks like McKeels is just posted on Discord as well, and they said I fought the wall and the wall won.
You can always count on KO to take a comedic approach, even in the face of defeat, but it's happened too far back, so we can't find it. But it looks as if he probably ran into one of the tire stacks, because we saw some skid marks by one of the tire stacks and a wheel not far away from it, so you can put 2 and 2 together there for yourself. As another, oh my goodness, there's another problem. Simon Watman in the Ocella has gotten into the kitty litter at the second of the 2 Lesmo curves, I believe. He's trying to get the car going, but this is difficult. You got to try to rev the engine enough and drop the clutch, and then just... Oh, my goodness. He's going to damage the... David Saber's out of the race. What happened here?
I was just about to bring that up as well. I spotted that on the positions.
Well, this must have happened a long time ago, but I don't know what happened there. Something went wrong. But in any case, it appears Simon... Yes, Simon is still stuck at the... still stuck in the kitty litter here. This is a really unfortunate situation because assuming that he even gets out of that trap, he's going to be doing lots of... he's putting lots of stress in the engine doing that, right?
Yeah, if you're stuck and you're trying to get out, and basically having to rev the engine to try and get out, you're just going to possibly blow your engine.
I think he just did. I think that was it. Yes, black smoke, no new pope. So it looks like Simon's out of the race. That's really unfortunate. There's Coxon lapping Sibignani, so we still have, with those two retirements, we'll have 21 cars still running in the race. So attrition's starting to take hold, but not at the end of the field where it's going to affect the points chase too much. We now have... The Benettons are actually spread out a bit. Yeah, the gaps between cars are actually getting quite a bit bigger now than they were before. Bouchard is back to 8th now. So he was able to get back around Francisco Amaral, who is now 9th. Amaral actually weaving and bobbing and weaving the car a little bit. I'm not sure what that's about. But he is still rolling. And then you see Jonathan Asserclinth entering the top 10 with, and I believe all these people moved up as David went out of the race. That's why all these people suddenly went up in terms of placing. This is an interesting little scrap here it's a family scrap between Oscar and John Team. Same car, same family. It's interesting because John qualified much better than Oscar. Oscar started second to last, or third to last, and now John is in 11th and Oscar's in 12th. The Renault is...
Go ahead.
Oh no! Asserclinth out of the race. Something went wrong here. Oh my goodness, he's lost the whole right front corner of the car. Looking at it in replay here, my goodness, Johnny Ace is out of the race in spectacular fashion. What went wrong here? He ran, it looks like oh, I see what happened. Okay, he clipped a curb and it sent the car out of control into the wall on the other side of the circuit. And that's what led to his retirement. My goodness, that's, again, the confines of this circuit actually are pretty close. It is a narrow circuit and the walls are not far away. Let's look at this again from his point of view. As he turns in, he goes up on the curb, and that's just enough to get the car unsettled, and it sends it across the circuit. That's really too bad. Sorry about that, John. Oh, dang. So that's another car out of the race, and that really is going to kill any hope Jonathan had of vying for the championship. I mean, especially in a situation like this where you have the championship leader not in the points. You want to try to, capitalize on that without many chances left to go. But that's it for Johnny Aces. Hopefully, Tifosi are obviously not happy. Here's Oscar again, really close to his brother. Interesting to see what happens here because it looks as if Oscar is actually faster than John right now.
Yeah, you could say this battle between the two teams is probably, a battle of for family honours.
Yeah. You can see how hard it is to balance the car coming off of these Lesmo curves. You're trying to avoid getting onto the curb's actually the white one you see there. That's the one that Jonathan clipped. That sent him into the wall, and it's actually a very high curb. It's very different from the other ones around the circuit. The red and white ones with the Marlboro chevron on them, those ones are actually fairly flat. It's the ones that are kind of tall and white that are a problem. Those are the ones that can put you out of the race easily. Speaking of out of the race, Bruno Paggiola has also retired. And look at this. Here is Ray Riddall right with Tim Hilla. And he's definitely looking for a way to get by. And Gabriel's not too far away from this group either. They're right in front. They got cars they're lapping at the same time, Ryan.
Yeah, well, traffic's going to be a big factor now as they go by one of the lap cars now, and Del Piccolo and Hill, and they looks like Riddell as well. Pretty much all stuck together now, and as they come across up to the start finish line now, you might see Piccolo maybe use a slight bit of boost to stay ahead. As well, it's like they say that behind Riddell's got the run and Hill.
He did for a second there, but I think Hilla might have upped the boost a shade, just as they were ready to go into the, just as they were getting closer to the chicane. Now, we're through the first two chicane. It's a double chicane. Under the Coca-Cola sign, now we're heading into Curva Grande. Del Piccolo braking for the turn ahead of this group. You can see there's another car just ahead there. Not sure if that's a car in the lead lap or a lap car, but in any case, these three running very close together. And you can see here how narrow the Lesmo curve section is. It just seems very confining. And you have literally almost no room offline here if you make a mistake. There's that white curb that is taller than the other ones that you want to avoid if you can. And look at this, Ray's having a look on the outside, but really just not really much point in trying there. But it looks like, he's been stalking the Benettons for a while now. He's probably ready to finally make a move here as they come down to the Parabolica. Yeah, he's got a run now. Tim Hilla places his car right in the middle of the road, making it very, very hard for Ray to get alongside. And you can see how close he is now as they're ready to accelerate out of the Parabolica. He's got a little bit of a roll, but again, I think Tim's reaching down and pulling that knob. Although here comes Ray. Looks like he has a shot now coming down the straightaway. There's contact there for a second. Ray has done it. He's gotten by, but is Hilla gonna outbreak? No, he's not. Okay, so Ray Riddall moves up to 5th place. Tim Hilla might have had a chance to outbreak him there, but decided not to. So there you go. There's a change in the top 5. And he is pulling away suddenly quite a lot. So you think he was being held up a bit by Tim?
Yes, excuse me, it's quite possible. I think he might have been held up by Tim, and I think Ray's just decided that now's the time to go for it. Try and start making moves as what we were on the lap 20 out of 51, and so still a long way to go. But I think this is probably the part of the race where some drivers might be starting to worry now with regards to reliability, possibly, and maybe just not easing it off, but just thinking about looking after the engine and maybe just winding down the boost. But at the moment, the person that's not having to worry about what's in front or behind him is Richard Cox and that Karen Williams, and it's been a good performance by him so far, and the gap's up to about just under 12 seconds now.
Yep, just under 12 seconds now. We'll get a more accurate picture once Grant crosses the line. He's just approaching it now. 12.172 seconds. And then you have Nilsson in 3rd. Del Piccolo is in 4th. Tim Hilla has fallen to 6th place. Not sure where that happened, but he's actually dropped back. He must have made some kind of mistake at some point. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. He's in 6th because Ray passed him. Sorry, my mistake. But it's interesting that Tim does not have the pace in the race configuration that he had in qualifying. So I think he still has to figure out a thing or two about the Benetton to make it competitive at the race level. He's got the raw speed, no question, but maybe the race package that he has right now is not quite to his liking. In any case, Riddall continues in 5th. Fourth is Del Piccolo. Third is Nilsson. Grant in second, and the leader, of course, is Richard Coxon. So we're coming up to 22 laps here. Halfway is going to be about 25, 26 laps. So at some point, we're going to see some people come in the pits, I believe. We saw one of the Tyrrells come in earlier. So we'll have to keep an eye and see if people are going to come in or not. Actually surprised that no one's coming yet, because you'd figure with less fuel weight, Ryan, that the tires would be able to last longer and you could go for a longer stint.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you can look after the tires and look after the tires and stretch them as long as possible, you could be, maybe you can leave the pit stop if any of these drivers plan to pit, try and leave that as late as possible and maybe try and not lose too much time.
I just realized now that Johnny Aces is in the booth with us.
Oh,
what?
Ray Vidal just had a spin in the middle of the first chicane.
Oh my goodness, he did. Let's have a replay of that. Let's see what happened here. This is the first real incident we've seen at this chicane so far. He just lost the back end under acceleration, but luckily he didn't. Oh, he nearly got clipped by Tim Hilla, who now takes back fifth place. And lucky for Ray, it doesn't look like he's going to lose much track position. He's going to lose time, but he's still in sixth. And there's no seventh place car coming up to him now. But Jonathan, very sorry to see you out of the race there. It looks like one of those tall curbs got you. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, that's right. I don't like this place. I've been miserable ever since the last round because I knew Monster was coming up. And to be fair, I was trying to drive within the limits of the car, but I still wasn't making fuel, so I probably would have retired with no fuel left towards the end of the race anyway. Oh, as Ray has blown its engine, it looks like.
Ray Vidal? Oh, yes, yes, he has. Ray has blown his engine, so we have another retirement due to engine. That's the second one that we know about. But yeah, well, it's unfortunate for that to happen too in front of the Tifosi, but you did have a little bit of a performance edge, as we do have one car in the pits right now. I believe that is Grant, who's coming in, and another one of the Benettons. Yeah, it was Tim Hilla who came in. So now, there's a bunch of people exiting the pits now. That's Tim Hilla who's exiting it. We've got Francisco Amaral making a stop. So a bunch of people coming in pits at once here. Nilsson now is right with Gabriel Del Piccolo, who I don't think made a stop. Coxon is now way out in front by 22 seconds. So it'll be curious to see when he goes for the pits. But next race is going to be in Portugal. What do you think your chances are there, Jonathan?
I would say, based on how the car has, at least what it seems, and being unable to keep up with the other cars since pretty much France. If we can scrape a couple of few points there, I think we should consider ourselves to be very happy with that in the Ferrari camp.
All right. Well,
I simply hope the fuel situation will be nicer there.
All right, well, Coxon has just made his stop, and he retains the lead as he comes out. And he stuck with D-compound tires, at least on the back. So those are with the green chalk. I'm not sure if that's like a soft tire or...
It would be the softs, yes.
It would be the softs, okay. All right, well, we're sorry to see you out, Jonathan. Go get yourself a beer and rest up for the next race. But... hope you have better results in a couple weeks' time.
Cheers, thank you.
Yep. So Coxon was able to retain his lead there as he headed into the pits, just based on what he built up. But the car that's directly behind him there, Del Piccolo, is in second place as they lap Oscar Team. So the question is who's going to come in next, because they're all going to cycle back to the front again. Del Piccolo has not pitted yet. At least and Nilsson does not appear to have pitted. Hilla did. So, and Hilla's out of the race. How did that happen?
Yeah, it looks like it was a suspension damage.
Oh, good grief. Coming out of the pits, that's the worst thing you want to have happen, is to immediately get into an accident. My goodness. All right, so Coxon goes for another lap, and it looks like Del Piccolo's going to go for another one. His nearest pursuer being Anders Nilsson, who's in third. Fourth, Grant Riddall, and we saw him make his stop already. Fifth is Juha, and Juha's continuing on here. I think Juha is benefiting from people's stops because he was certainly not fifth before. And Bouchard is suddenly surging a little bit because of the pit stops going on. He's now in sixth. Not that 1 point would make much of a difference in the championship, but if we look at the championship table just real quickly here, Juha is in second place to Bouchard. So if Bouchard's going to have a day where he doesn't score points, Juha has got to make hay while the sun shines. He has got to, if he wants to have any shot at all of eating into that lead with 3 rounds to go after this one. Awesome.
Yep, and I think Bouchard as well is maybe just I think at this stage of the race he's maybe just thinking about getting to the finish now and just see where he ends up. I think being in sixth place at the moment is still a points position, but probably not as many points that he wanted to help in the championship. But I think he's probably hoping for more attrition in front of him as we get to kind of just about halfway through this race.
Yeah, we are basically halfway through now. Now here comes Anders Nilsson into the pits, our third place runner, bringing his Benetton to a stop here. Let's see what he decides to do for tires. It appears he is going with Super Softs on the rear and Super Softs on the front. All right, so he's looking to make a charge, I think. Exits the pits in sixth place. And that brings Bouchard up to fifth. Boss is now fourth. Grant Riddall is third, and that's after his stop. So Grant's looking in pretty good shape as far as like where he'll finish in the race if he's third after that stop. Del Piccolo still in second, and Coxon is leading. Didn't lose his little bit of a bobble there from Grant, but we'll see what happens. I mean, it's can Grant hunt down? I mean, at least the evidence in the early part of the race would suggest he can't. But I don't know. I mean, just the matchup of Coxon and the Williams just seems like a match made in heaven so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it could be the Williams suiting Coxon's driving style as well, and it probably sounds like a silly analogy, but it's sort of like watching Michael Schumacher as well, when he was with Ferrari. Him and the Ferraris that he drove, just seemed to gel together.
All right, Del Piccolo's in, and he's going with softs, the yellow chalk on the back and softs on the front. Nobody's splitting the two, which is interesting. I was trying that with sports cars earlier in one race, and it did actually help sometimes. If you think that the fronts are going to go off faster because of the pressure that you put on them in turns, sometimes it's better to go with like mediums on the front and softs on the rear, but he's going with softs on both ends of the car. He loses fourth place to Bouchard, who has not stopped. Del Piccolo drops to fifth. Anders Nilsson looks like he's mired behind one of the back markers. Yeah, he's stuck behind the AGS, but just now getting clear of it. So be interesting to see if, and I believe that's, is that Hilla or is that behind Bouchard? That's Nilsson. It'll be interesting to see if he can gather up that Now, the other question that comes into my mind here, Ryan, are any of this group going to run the race without making a stop?
I was about to bring that question up actually. But
Yeah.
You beat me to it.
Okay.
I mean, I think if any of these drivers are up at the front, maybe looking at Bouchard, for example, if they're using the harder compound, maybe they are trying to do this race on the without stopping, and maybe that's what Bouchard's planning to do. Maybe that's why he's being kind of just further down in the field in the first half of this race. Maybe just using a harder compound and maybe just trying to gain positions through doing something different on the strategy.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point, and I think it could very well be what Bouchard is doing. We'll know as the race wears on, but at least at this point, it appears that he's not going to pit. And if you're in a race where you know the car is you're not going to be particularly fast or as fast as you'd like, one way that you can save time is by putting harder tires on the car and planning to not make a stop, which will save you about 30 seconds or so. But if you're still going slow, you may be giving up the time on the track anyway. Bouchard is taking the gamble that it's better for him to just stay on track, but I don't know, that's being put to the test right now, because here comes Del Piccolo, and he goes sailing right by with no problem whatsoever. Del Piccolo now in 4th place, Bouchard now down to 5th. And the next car that's going to try to swallow him up here is Anders Nilsson. K.O. McKeel's engaging in his usual comedy routine in the YouTube chat. But if you're out of the race, I guess you got to make the best of it, right?
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. I mean, there's no point getting worked up or stressed out about it, or they did something silly. It's always better to, the way I look at it, is better just to make a bit of a funny situation out of it, just joke about it. And I always find if you have a laugh about it and joke about it, it makes the pain of going out of a race or retiring a lot less painful.
One thing that I've found that really helps me, because I get really furious with myself if I don't finish a race, and I've racked up 3 DNFs in the 84 series so far. I'm not happy about it. The way I do it is I queue up a bunch of things, as they like to say in merry old England. I queue up a bunch of things that I could also do that day, like laundry, mowing the lawn, a bunch of just little tasks that I know that I have to do. So if I'm out of the race, I sit there and I just sulk for a second, then I go, all right, well, I got all this other stuff I could be doing, so I'll do that. And it keeps me from dwelling on it.
Yeah, that's something similar to me. I just kind of if I do feel myself getting frustrated a little bit, I prefer to kind of just step away from my computer and just maybe, I'm not condoning it, by the way, for anyone watching and chat, just step away and maybe just chill out and have a cold beer.
Yeah, there's some people who are able to deal with disappointment better than others. Like, I think we've seen Will Power, for example, who drives for Penske and Indy cars. He really wears his heart on his sleeve. He's mad. If he's upset, he'll let you know. He's really he really wears it on his sleeve. And then there are other people who are just really cool and calm about it. Just go, well, we'll just come at him again next time, you know.
And talking about Will Power, I think there was an interview he gave to the sports channels at NBC Sports or something like that.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it was after a practice session or qualifying, and then they.
Oh my goodness! I'm sorry.
Sorry
to interrupt you, but there was a near collision there at pit exit. We're very lucky nothing happened between Bouchard. He was being overtaken, so I think that distracted him. But one of the arrows was coming out of the pits at the exact same time. They must have missed by about a foot. That was scary. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, Will Power was given an interview a few weeks ago. I can't remember what track it was, but actually I think it was Road America, either in practice or qualifying. He said something about a driver and said he said something about they deserve a punch in the face or something like that.
He was talking about Grosjean, actually.
Grosjean, yeah, we were talking about him actually before we came on it.
Yeah, I know, and really, he was very angry. I saw the video, and there was justification to be angry. Because, yeah, from his point of view, I could see why he was so mad. But anyway, getting back to the race here, Bouchard, if his tactic is to stay out and not pit, it does not seem to be working out for him. He's down to 6th now. He got overtaken by Nilsson there, and that's not for position back there behind him. That's a Ligier that's a lap down. So he's got a lot of distance between himself, actually like 32 seconds between himself and the next car, Amaral. So he's not in danger of losing any more positions unless he has some kind of a track altercation. But if his plan was to not pit, it doesn't seem to have worked out.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was just looking at Jules and it's up into currently P6 at the moment, and still in a points paying position. But again, it's not what he wanted. I think result wise or points wise, I think to try and keep that comfortable margin in the championship, he probably would have wanted to be up there, probably round about in the top 3 or top 4. But I think again, it's just Monza not suiting the characteristics of this Lotus.
Well, speaking of being in the top 3, that's where Juha finds himself now. He is in 3rd place, holding off Del Piccolo at the moment pretty well, and that's worth 4 points right there. And if Bouchard loses one more spot, he's going to be he's going to have just 1 point. Right now he's just going to get 1 point, but if he loses a spot, then he won't score. And Juha, who's the next closest pursuer, it essentially kicks the championship candle down, or not a candle, a can down the road. Anyway, so Boss coming out of the parabolic, and now I'm not sure whether he pitted or not, but in any case, he looks like he's in good shape, ahead of Del Piccolo here. The gap between Grant and Coxon is gargantuan. It is now 28.7 seconds. So, fairly... it's going to be very hard for him to make up, as now Del Piccolo is starting to close a little bit on... he's looking at the outside here of Boss. Not going to take him here, but definitely he's in an overtaking mood, it looks like.
Yep, absolutely. Excuse me. Yeah, absolutely. And I think just looking throughout the field for as well, just looks like there's not really any close battles going on at the moment. And it looks like as I say that, the battle for P3 and P4 is going on as well between Boss and Del Piccolo, and also Anders Nilsson as well joining in the fun.
Yeah, Nilsson's not far away. Yeah, he's right back there. I believe we lost Matthew Sibignani. I think he's out of the race now. But look at this. Look at Del Piccolo. He's definitely... looks like he's going to make a run for it here to get by Boss. There he goes. Pops out. He's alongside. He's got him at least on the straight. We'll see if Juha tries to counterattack here. Nope. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. So up into 3rd place and on the podium goes Del Piccolo. Boss in 4th, and 5th is Anders Nilsson. And to your point, he is definitely joining in on this party. Now from Boss's point of view, as they head under the Campari Bridge. And he goes up the inside, takes the position back briefly. Oh, my goodness, Del Piccolo defends it brilliantly. That was very, very close. Boss goes onto the grass. Nilsson sees an opportunity to get by, but can't do it. My goodness, they all got bound up there suddenly. But thankfully, nobody lost anything, a wing or a wheel.
Yeah, that was a bit close for comfort there, but
Yeah.
it looks like Del Piccolo's starting to slowly pull away now with Boss just behind in the Ferrari, and Anders Nielsen in the Benetton. They just still clinging on to this for this battle for third place.
Yeah, this is the hottest battle on the circuit at the moment for sure. As Boss enters, all three of them enter the Parabolica. I think that Boss is still in a position where he can fight for that third place. I think as we have a yellow flag, I believe that's just for a car leaving the pit lane. Yeah, it was for, it's one of the Haas Lolas that just left the pit lane. So, okay, this adds a bit of sauce to the goose. We have a lapped car that they must get by. And now they got the perfect opportunity to do it in Curva Grande. Mark makes the room for them. Mark pulls to the outside, and it looks like he's going to give the room. Yeah, he does. Gives the room to both Juha and Del Piccolo. Now let's see. And he lets Nilsson through as well. So no issues from Whitman there. That's good. But Boss is still right there. He is not going to let this go. He wants that podium.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't think either of these drivers will want to give this fair position up to Del Piccolo because it's a home race for him, but also you have Boss because he's driving a Ferrari, and it's good that the Tifosi like to support the Ferrari and want to see it on that third step. Yeah,
the Tifosi can't fault Jonathan for trying. He was definitely pushing very hard when he had his accident. But definitely they are going to be wanting Boss and the Michele Alboreto Ferrari to have a good showing here as they come off the final turn. And you can see in the background there the edge of the banking that they don't use anymore. It makes a couple of appearances. It makes an appearance there, and it makes an appearance right here off to the right where you would join it if you wanted to take the banking. But no more races on the banking at Monza. My goodness, Juha looked like he was a bit out of shape there, but Nilsson most definitely is on a charge now and is going to make an attempt, it looks like, around the outside. He's trying to get placement for the next turn, Nilsson is, and I think he's got him. He does. Nilsson up to fourth place.
Yeah, fantastic move by Anders, and up into fourth place with the Benetton, and then I wonder if he can close that gap down to Del Piccolo in front of him. But I think just watching the Juha Boss, he's not letting Anders get away that easy.
No, he's not. That was a very opportunistic piece of driving by Anders, because Juha had a slow exit from the chicane, and Anders was right there to pounce. A lot of passing that we're seeing here today, taking advantage of other people's problems. So, oh my goodness, Juha has a big wiggle coming off, I believe that's the Ascari chicane, as they now are heading down towards Parabolica. Del Piccolo very comfortably in third place at this point. Boss wants to get that fourth back now. I talked to Juha before the race. He had a bit of trepidation about this race as far as like how he would do, but he always says that. That's always his attitude. He always says, well, we'll see what I can do, kind of attitude. But in any case, Coxon still leads. Grant is in second. Third is Del Piccolo. Fourth, Nilsson. Fifth, you're watching right now, Juha Boss. Sixth is Bouchard, championship leader. It's very uncharacteristic to see him having issues in a race where he can't be up with the leaders, but we'll have to see what that does to the championship standings. It probably won't have any effect at all, really, if we think about it, because right now, looking at the driver's points, Bouchard's going to have 59 after this race. Juha, if he stays where he is going to have 36. So, I'm just going to do a quick calculation here. So it's mathematically possible. It's slim, but there's still a mathematic possibility that by a few points that Boss could snatch the championship. But it would have to require a complete breakdown from other cars and from obviously Bouchard in particular in order to make it happen. So highly unlikely, but it is there. And the gap between Coxon and Grant Riddall is increasing. It is now almost 40 seconds. And then you have a 50-second gap from Grant back to his teammate. Well, actually, no, it's 11. It's 50 seconds back from Coxon to Del Piccolo. That includes Grant Riddall's gap. So it's only 11.2 seconds between Grant and Del Piccolo. Looks like Nilsson starts to close here on him a bit, Ryan.
Yeah, I was about to say that straight line speed of that Benetton with that engine, it's definitely got some power in a straight line, and he's got definite. This seems to be the part of the track where Nielsen closes up on the Del Piccolo, and as Nielsen runs wide onto the gravel, and he was so lucky to get away with that.
Yeah, you don't want to do that too often. That's a good way to get into an accident or run afoul of the stewards if you do it too often. But Nilsson looks like he's holding there with the gap is 39 seconds between between Grant Riddall and Richard Coxon.
Yep, Richard Coxon's pretty much been in a class of his own for most of this race, and
pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much ever since he got in front of Grant Riddall, he's just pulled away and built up that gap, and he's not really had to use any boost to build that gap as well. Come to think of it, maybe a little bit of boost, but not as much as I thought it would. So I think Cox has pretty much got the gap, the big lead that he's got, just on genuine pace.
Yeah, pretty much. And Amaral right now is just outside the points, at 7th place. So he may be able to take advantage of that if someone has one more retirement at the front and take a point for 6th place. The Ligiers are running 8th and 9th, so what started out as looking like a lackluster day for them actually looks pretty good. In fact, they're going to get lapped now by our leader, Richard Coxon, in just a few seconds here. You can see him emerging in the background, the red 5 on the nose. And there he takes Oscar. And John is his next target in 8th place. So after he takes John Team's car, there will be only 7 cars on the lead lap. That gives you an idea of Coxon's pace to this point. So just to remind everybody, coming up, the next broadcast we will have is going to be on October 15th, and this is the Grand Prix of Portugal at the Estoril circuit, a circuit that I like. It's actually a lot of fun to drive. 14th round out of 16. Perhaps the championship will get wrapped up there. Not sure. We'll find out. Sunday, October 15th. Race starts at 2000 CEST. Will probably be on the air 15 minutes prior to that. So Coxon is by both of the Ligiers. Bouchard clinging to that 6th place. Yeah, everybody's pretty well spread out here. So it probably is a good time to do the trivia question. So the trivia question was, the 1937 Italian Grand Prix was held at which track? Is it A, Circuito del Montenero, B, Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, or C, Portello Milan? Okay, time's up. What do you think, Ryan?
Oh, excuse me, that's a tough one. I'm going to have to. I'm actually going to have to say I'm going to go with A.
And you are correct. Circuito del Montanero. And that's the configuration on the screen there of the racetrack at the time. It changed a bunch of times, but that's the way it was at the time. So very good job, Ryan. I don't get to use my wrong button. So we got 9 laps to go now in the race. Basically, or 10 actually, now that I think about 10. So we're on lap 42 now. So Coxon cruising home to what seems to have been a very, very easy drive. I'm sure he's going to be very downbeat about it if we talk about him. Talk to him later on. He's probably gonna be like, no, it was good, knowing him. But pretty flawless drive. All he has to do is orbit this place 10 more times, or a little less than 10 more times, and he's got it. 9.5 now. And I think Grant got the most he could out of his car today. I think the smart thing for him to do is to soft pedal it to the finish, because he's got a great amount of room in front of him. He can't possibly catch Coxon now, and he's got a good cushion between himself and third place. So the smart thing to do would be to turn the boost back a bit and just try to cruise home, would you think?
Yeah, that's what I would be doing if I had a big gap behind me, or a comfortable margin anyways. Just turn down the boost, look after the engine, and also conserve some fuel. And it means you've got some fuel left over for the end of the race, and you're not having to worry about it.
And the third place being held firmly by Del Piccolo. It doesn't look like Nilsson's going to make much of an inroad here. Boss is in 5th, and then you have Bouchard in 6th. Amaral in 7th place, and then something has happened to Oscar. He's a lap down now, so he must have had to make a pit stop or something, or he had an incident, because he's all the way down in 12th place now. And that brings Alan Santo up to 9th in the Haas Lola, and he is being hotly pursued by, well, not really hotly pursued. Suntarami is a few more seconds back in 10th place. So I guess the question that's on everybody's mind is whose engine's going to blow and when. Because they love to do that right at the end, don't they?
Yeah, I was going to say as well, that's something that the drivers are going to have to worry about as well, possibly. Even if they've turned down the boost, maybe having to worry about the engine, possibly blowing up. And I know from my experience, I've had that in the past. Especially in endurance races, you always start to, maybe in the last 20 or 30 minutes, you always have that thought in the back of your mind, what if something goes, or what if something fails on my computer. It's one of those things that makes you a little bit stressed.
Yeah. For my money, I don't think Grant has much to worry about. I'm risking commentator curse now, but I doubt that he has much to worry about, because he didn't, when it became obvious that he wasn't going to catch Coxon, he didn't just keep whipping the horse. He just kind of settled back. So we'll see what happens here. Rocha is also out of the race, which is unfortunate. We didn't see what happened there. Uh-oh, it appears there's something going on here. Somebody has hit the wall. It is Oscar Team. Oscar Team has hit the wall at the Parabolica, and he is out of the race. Let's see what happened here. Go back to where he was. So Oscar had already had an incident of some kind. Yeah, here it is. He see what precipitates this. He hits the end of the tire wall. Did he get it looks like he just braked maybe a bit too late. and ran wide into the gray. And once you get out there, it's kind of hard to bring the car back, and he loses the back end on the kitty litter and clouts the tire barrier, and that's basically it. So that's too bad, because he was looking at a top 10 finish, and then whatever happened that put him back to 12th, and then he has that happen to him. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, as indeed. And yeah, he was having a decent race, and unfortunately it's down to his teammate and his brother, John team. It's up in 8th place at the moment to finish in the top 10 for the Equipe Leisure team. So it's sad that Oscar's out, but at least they've still got one car in the top 10 with John.
Yeah, that's true. And Centorami has something to smile about. He's got another top 10 finish for Ligier. Centorami is a lot quicker of a driver than this car will allow him to be. The Ligier at this point is not the most competitive car in the grid, but Centorami is going to turn in another nice performance, and it appears, driving the number 3 Tyrrell. And if you look just behind him here, Alan Santo is in 10th. The top 10 for him is going to be a good performance in this Haas Lola, which is not, again, another car that's really not of the competitive set. But I'm sure they'll both be happy with 9th and 10th finish. And you're right, Oscar is running in 8th still, so there is one Ligier in the top 10. Amaral 7th. And it appears that Jules is starting to close a little bit on Juha. Just a shade. And this is worth following, because these are the 2 championship leaders. You got Bouchard in the lead, and Boss 24 points behind, but still in 2nd place. I wonder what's going on here. Is Boss fuel saving, or is something else going on? But it definitely looks like Bouchard is reeling him in.
Yeah, I think it could be fuel, because that gap was about probably 1.5 seconds as they went across the line, and now it's down to about, not even that. I would probably say about, just under a second now.
And he's definitely pushing, you can tell. The car is twitching. He's definitely pushing the car for all it's worth to try to catch Juha. Under the Renault 21 bridge, and now, or sign at the very least, don't know if that's a bridge, through the chicane. Downshifting now for Parabolic, and he's definitely a lot closer now. He's closing for sure. See if we can get him on the straight here.
I don't think Joe's is going to be close enough, but it looks like I think Juha could be saving slightly, because he's not, just look at his pace, it's not as quick as it was before. So
no.
And I wonder if Juha's tires are starting to go as well.
It could be a tire problem, now that I think about it, because I don't think we ever saw him go in the pits, to be honest. So he may be one of these guys who's trying to make it on one, and that'd be interesting, because Bouchard did that. So we got both of them together. We see who took care of their harder tires the best, I guess, is what we're seeing here. And it looks like at first Bouchard looked like he had made the wrong gamble, but ended up running with it appears somebody who did a similar thing. We'll see.
Yep, and Juha's trying to break the slipstream. As you see, they're trying to just trying to wiggle and try and break that slipstream to Jules. But I think
riding the snake.
Yeah, riding the snake. I was trying to think of a better description, and you summed it up better. But as you see there, it looks like Jules has definitely got the run heading down to the final corner. And if I was Jules, I would maybe break it, try and take a wider entry, and try and get back on that power early on the exit of the final corner, and carry that momentum down the home straight, as it looks like definitely Juha's struggling, whether it's fuel or tires. But again, Jules just not close enough.
No, he really hauled it to a stop late at the Parabolica there put the binders on really suddenly. So, although, look at this. Is he going to do it here? Nope. It looked like he was about ready to pull alongside, but didn't quite. That's a long shot. It's a telephoto shot, but he's definitely keeping pace right with him as they exit the chicane there. Coxon is still leading by a substantial margin. Grant Radal is in second. Del Piccolo is in third. Nilsson is in fourth. And we're watching the battle, the closest battle on the circuit right now, between Juha Boss, who's in fifth, and Bouchard, who is in sixth. Bouchard goes on the gravel just a bit there, but I doubt that cost him too much time.
Yeah, and again, Joe's just it seems to be down this part of the track here. He seems to close up ever so slightly on Juha, but just that Ferrari engine's just got, it just looks like in a straight line it's got more power. And as I say that, actually, it looks like Joe's gets a good run on the exit of the final corner, and he's a lot closer this time around, Jason.
Yeah, he's got the pace, definitely, but I think Boss is counterattacking with boost on the straight here. Yeah, but I really think the more that I watch this, the more I think it's a tire problem. He tries to get alongside, but he can't. I'm thinking it's a tire issue more than anything. It's not a straight line speed issue, that's for sure. All right, coming through the Curva Grande again. Yeah, you can see how it definitely seems to have more speed through the turns with that Lotus. That's why I'm thinking it's tires. Look at the very different lines they're taking through there. As now, here comes Bouchard up alongside. I think this may be it. No. Boss takes the inside line. Bouchard looking again. Uh-oh, there's some pieces from a car on the straight. They're not sure what that's from. Somebody's lost the front wing. He's having a look again, but still not quite placed properly to make the attempt.
And not too far behind as well as the leader Richard Coxon. Yeah, you can probably see him in the background as again Joe's closing right up, heading into the final corner. They takes a sneaky look, but with that, Joe's compromises his line.
Yep. And look at Jules taking a wide approach, trying to get on the power here and just kind of sling out and he's not able to make it happen. Another pit stop there for the Haas team. Not sure what that's about with only a couple laps to go. But in any case, Bouchard's got a couple more laps to work with here, or 3 more, 49, 50, and 51. So Juha's going to have his work cut out for him to keep that black and gold car behind him. Yeah, this looks like a repeat of the last lap, pretty much.
Yep, and I have to agree. I think it looks like Joe's through the fast corner seems to have a better run. I don't know if he's maybe carrying slightly more downforce, which maybe helps him. But just Joe's just can't really do anything. He keeps getting close to Juha, but just can't get the move done.
There may be some aero issues playing into this too, because when you go into a corner and you got someone right in front of you, it spoils the air in your car. But Jules once again looking from our chopper shot here. He's pulling out. Look at Boss. Actually, that's it. Oh, Boss pulls to the inside, and Bouchard takes him on the outside. What was that?
Yeah, I wonder if that was. I'm confused by that. I wonder if Juha just decided to play it safe.
I don't know. That looked really deliberate to me. But
Oh, he's got the wrong.
And now here he comes right back again and takes the position back again as they're going. Oh, now he's in the wrong place to take it. But look out, guys! Come on! Ooh! Well, that was close, but Juha retains 5th place. That was very, very close. My goodness.
Whoa!
Very.
I had to take a deep breath watching that.
Well, now Bouchard looks like he's on the attack again. But my goodness, I don't know why Juha suddenly pulled to the right and let him by, and then next straightaway he's back in it again. I don't know what that was about. It was strange. Maybe hardware issue of some kind. Maybe he noticed something with the hardware that was wrong. Bouchard runs wide. That's not going to help his cause. But we're getting close to the end here, so we should probably say, actually up here in front here, we've got a bit of a closer battle now between Nilsson and Del Piccolo, but there's not an opportunity here. And this is actually the final lap for Richard Coxon. So as he comes out of the final chicane, and he's on lap 51 out of 51, so this is going to be it for him. A very dominating performance from start to finish. We had a few lead changes in the first 7 laps, but then Richard asserted himself, and here he comes out of the Parabolica to take the win. Richard Coxon wins the Italian Grand Prix. Again, it seems like a perfect marriage of driver and car, and he wins by an insane margin of 47 seconds. At least right now. We'll see what it is when Grant crosses the line, but here comes Grant, who is in 2nd place, and good for him to bring the car to the line. I mean, he still has 1 turn to go, but not having the engine explode. And if you look at that, look back there. Actually, there's a great battle in the back there between Anders and Del Piccolo. They're going to take this one right to the line. Look at this.
Yeah, they're just about side by side, and I was watching the battle for 3rd place, and Del Piccolo, or Nilsson rather, took 3rd place on the outside into that 2nd chicane with some bravery as they come up to the line, and Nilsson's going to take that final step.
Nilsson's going to be on the final step of the podium in 3rd. 2nd goes to Grant. 4th will go to Gabriel Del Piccolo. Excellent drive from him. 5th is Juha, and he is just ahead of Jules Bouchard. Jules has got one more shot here as they go to the Parabolica. Can he do it? I don't think so. But some interesting final. Oh my goodness, he nearly ran into the gravel there. He waited so long to put the binders on. But here they come out of the final turn. Jules is pouring it on. Is he going to beat him to the line? Oh my goodness, is he going to beat him to the line? He is! Jules takes 5th place. Juha finishes 6th at the very last minute. Wow. He just dumped more coal in the fire as they exited the Parabolica and got Juha. I wonder if he surprised him a bit there. But Juha 6th. 7th goes to Amaral. 8th to John Team. 9th, Giovanni Centorami. The top 10 is rounded out by Alan Santo. 11th, Mark Whitman. 12th, Bruno Chacon, who's like limping to the finish here with no front wing or rear wing. He looks like a Formula Ford. My goodness. 13th, Oscar Team, and he was out of the race. David Watman, Matthew Sibignani, Tim Hilla, Ray Rodal, Luciano Rocha, Bruno Pagiola, and then Johnny Aces in 20th. 21st, David Saber. 22nd, K.O. McKeels. 23rd, Simon Watman. 24th, Gilto. 25th, Moises Pereira. And the first retirement was Fernando Portiero. So that was the Italian Grand Prix. Thoughts on this race, Ryan? I mean, just an amazing performance by Coxon, first of all.
Yeah, I have to say, Richard Coxon just pretty much was just in a masterclass of his own, and I think once he got by Grant Riddell, he was just no one could touch him. He just had unbelievable pace, but great racing throughout the field, and especially that battle for the final step on the podium of Anders Nielsen and Del Piccolo, and Jules Bouchard as well. He put in a textbook move of we thought he was going into the gravel in the final corner, but I think what he done, he tried to maybe just take a wider line and tried to put the power back down earlier on the exit of the final corner, and they somehow got a UHA boss at the line.
That was amazing. I didn't think it was. It looked like it was over, but apparently not. All right, so let's see if there's anybody in the green room. It doesn't appear there's anybody in there, so who wants to be interviewed. So we'll close out this broadcast. I want to thank very much Ryan for his help in the booth. You're a really good color commentator. Thanks very much for keeping me on my toes and giving us all the helpful info. We appreciate it. And good luck in the final race of your of the series that you're running.
All right, thank you, Jason, and thanks for having me as always. And looking forward to the next one and the remaining races in the championship. It should be, well, hopefully we should have an interesting championship fight right up to the final round of the season.
All right, and once again, for those of you who might like to take part in the GoFundMe to help Mike Olson and his father, who are in a bit of a financial bind right now, anything that you can give would be very, very much appreciated. I just put the link in the YouTube chat once again. Please give, please donate if you have the ability to do so. I'm sure they would be happy with any help that you can give. So, we do have Richard Coxon in here now, so we will interview the winner before we go. Richard, looked like a really trouble-free drive for you. We had some changes in the lead early on the first 7 laps, but after you took over, it seemed like it was just smooth sailing.
Yeah, I knew the pace the car had, and I knew I'd be better in clear air. There were a couple of hairy moments. I thought I'd miscalculated the fuel at the end, so I had to back off. I just can't add up, it seems. I had more than enough fuel. But yeah, like you say.
Yeah, I bet you're kind of disappointed that you moved over to this car later in the series, but one wonders what might be happening now if you had taken that car, say, before the midpoint point of the season.
Yeah. I mean, there's always that speculation. It'd maybe be a bit closer at the top. But Jules was dominant in that first half of the year, bar a couple of races, so it'd have been closer going to the end. So I think he's picked up another couple of points, and I'm going to be missing the next race. So
interesting. Ryan, any questions for our winner, Richard Coxon?
Yeah, just a quick one. With regards to racing the Williams and also your previous car that you had before, is there any differences with the car with regards to setting it up and also maybe driving style? Is there anything that you've had to readjust?
I had to readjust to the Williams because, weird as it sounds, it's tougher to drive. The engine is completely different. It's so much more torquey, so I had to learn to feather the throttle a lot more, because it would literally spin on its axes if you're not careful with it.
When the power comes on, it just cracks on?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got good low end torque, much better than the Benetton, but the aggressiveness of top end torque is just unreal. You really got to be careful with it, and that's maybe why earlier in the year some drivers were struggling with it. Setup wise, it's maybe likes to be a bit stiffer than the Benetton. It can run a bit less downforce. It generates more as per reality. But yeah, they're both great cars to drive. All of the cars of this mod are great to drive, to be honest.
All right, well, thank you for joining us in the booth, Richard. Congratulations again on your win.
Thank you.
Too bad you won't be with us for the next race, but the next race, just to remind everybody, is going to be the Grand Prix of Portugal. 14 out of 16 rounds on Sunday, October the 15th. Race will start at 2000 CEST. We didn't see Jules win the championship today, but we could possibly see it happen at Portugal. We'll see what happens. Anyway, so thank you. Very good drive, Richard, and thanks also again to Ryan for color commentary. It was excellent. And for all of you at home watching, this is Jason White saying so long from Monza. We'll see you at Portugal. Take care and be safe.